The morning started like any other day on the orbital defense station above Earth. Commander Minho Park was drinking his coffee and reading reports when the alarms began to sound. His coffee cup shook in his hand as every screen in the control room turned bright red. "Sir, we have contacts," Lieutenant Yuna Kim called out from her station. Her voice was calm, but Minho could hear the worry underneath. 12 large ships just appeared at the edge of our solar system. Minho set down his coffee and walked to the main display. The ships were huge. Each one was at least 3 times bigger than Earth's largest warship. They hung in space like sleeping giants, their hulls gleaming with strange metals and covered in lights that pulsed like heartbeats. "Any response to our signals?" Minho asked. "Nothing yet, sir. But wait." Yuna pressed her earpiece closer to her ear. "I'm getting something now. It's a communication request." The main screen flickered and changed. A face appeared that made several crew members step backward. The alien had blue-gray skin that looked like polished stone. Its eyes were large and golden, and when it spoke, rows of sharp teeth showed behind thin lips. "Greetings, primitive beings of the third planet," the alien said. Its voice was deep and smooth, like oil poured over rocks. "I am Ambassador Velthar of the Pristine Empire. I speak for the Galactic Security Consortium." Minho stepped forward. "This is Commander Park of the United Earth Defense Force. What can we do for you?" The alien's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "The question, small human, is what we can do for you. We bring wonderful news. Your species has been chosen to receive the protection of the consortium." Behind Velthar, other aliens moved into view. Minho counted at least 8 different types. Some looked like giant insects with too many arms. Others had skin that seemed to change colors. One looked almost human except for the third eye in the center of its forehead. "Protection from what?" Minho asked. Velthar's golden eyes widened as if the question surprised him. "From the dangers of the galaxy, of course. Space pirates, raiders, slave traders, and the uncivilized species that would destroy your world for sport." The screen changed. To show videos of space battles, ships exploded in bright flashes, planets burned, cities fell from the sky. The images were terrible and real. "This is what happens to worlds without protection," Velthar explained. "The galaxy is not a safe place for young species like yours, but do not fear. For the small cost of 40% of your planet's yearly resources, we will keep you safe." Yuna translated quietly for the crew. 40% meant almost half of everything Earth produced. Food, metals, energy, technology, everything. "That seems like a lot," Minho said carefully. "It is a bargain," Velthar replied. "Ask any protected world in the galaxy. They will tell you that safety is worth any price. Some species even begged us to accept 50% or more." One of the insect-like aliens moved closer to the screen. When it spoke, its voice buzzed like 1,000 bees. "Your primitive weapons cannot protect you from real galactic threats. We have seen your military capabilities. They are amusing." The aliens behind Velthar made sounds that might have been laughter. "We need time to discuss this with our leaders," Minho said. Velthar looked confused. "Discuss? What is there to discuss? We offer you life instead of death, safety instead of destruction. No intelligent species has ever needed to discuss such an obvious choice. Even so, we need time." "Very well," Velthar said after a long pause. "We will wait in your system for one of your days, but do not take too long. The galaxy does not wait for those who cannot make simple decisions." The screen went dark. The bridge was quiet except for the soft humming of computers. "Sir," Yuna said quietly, "Admiral Lee wants to speak with you right away." Minutes later, Minho found himself in a video call with Earth's top military leaders. Admiral Jiwon Lee sat at the head of a long table filled with generals and scientists. Her face was serious, but calm. "What do you think, Commander?" she asked. "Something feels wrong about this, Admiral." They showed up without warning and immediately demanded tribute. Real peacekeepers usually ask questions first. General Do Yun Choi leaned forward. "I've been looking at their fleet data. Those ships are big, but I'm not seeing the weapon signatures I'd expect from vessels that powerful." "What do you mean?" Admiral Lee asked. "Their energy readings don't match their size. It's like they're trying to look scary without actually being dangerous." Dr. Soman Kang, the head of Earth's xenobiology department, spoke up from her laboratory. I've been analyzing the biological data from their transmission. These aliens are from at least 8 different star systems, but they all show signs of genetic softening. Genetic softening? Admiral Lee asked. Their muscle density is low. Their bone structure is weak. Their nervous systems show patterns we usually see in species that haven't faced real threats for many generations. They're not warriors, Admiral. They're bureaucrats. Admiral Lee was quiet for a moment. How long would it take to get a detailed scan of their ships? Captain Hyunwoo Nam answered from the Stealth Ship Division. Give me 6 hours, and I can tell you everything about those vessels, except what their crews had for breakfast. Do it, Admiral Lee ordered. But be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with yet. Back on the orbital station, Minho watched the alien ships through the main telescope. They moved slowly and predictably, like whales swimming through deep water. Their formations were loose and sloppy. No real military force would position itself so carelessly. Lieutenant Kim, he called, can you intercept their internal communications? I'm trying, sir, but they're using basic encryption. Almost too basic. It's like they don't expect anyone to be listening. Or they don't think we're smart enough to break their codes, Minho said. Yuna worked at her station for another hour before she looked up with surprise on her face. Sir, I'm getting fragments of their conversations. What are they saying? They're confused, sir. They keep asking each other why we need time to think. One of them said, every other species accepted within minutes. What's wrong with these humans? Minho felt something cold in his stomach. Every other species? Yes, sir. They mentioned dozens of worlds, all paying tribute, all protected by the consortium. Lieutenant Chaeyoung Lim from Intelligence Analysis joined the conversation by video link. Commander, I've been researching galactic history. There's no record of major space wars in the last 300 years. No pirate fleets, no planet-destroying raiders. Then what happened to the worlds they showed us burning? I think those were very old recordings, sir, or simulations. The technology in those battle scenes doesn't match current galactic standards. As the hours passed, more information came in. Captain Nam's stealth ships found that the alien vessels had impressive shields and pretty lights, but their weapons were weak and their engines were slow. Dr. Kang discovered that the aliens' biology suggested they came from peaceful worlds, with no predators. Admiral Lee called another meeting as Earth's day was ending. It looks like we're dealing with a protection racket, she said. They demand tribute to protect species from threats that don't exist. But why? Asked General Choi. What's the point? Control, Admiral Lee replied. Keep entire species dependent and afraid. Take their resources. Make them too weak to resist. Dr. Kang added, the interesting thing is that they genuinely seem to believe they're helping. Their psychology profiles suggest they've convinced themselves that they're the good guys. What's our response going to be? Minho asked. Admiral Lee smiled, and it was not a friendly smile. We're going to give them an answer they'll never forget. Commander Park, please tell Ambassador Velthar that we're ready to discuss terms. As the alien fleet waited in Earth's outer system, none of them suspected that they had just encountered something new in their galaxy. For the first time in centuries, they had found a species that wasn't afraid. They had found humans. And humans, as they would soon learn, had very different ideas about protection, safety, and who exactly needed to be afraid of whom. Dr. Soman Kang had never been so excited to study alien blood samples. The consortium had given them freely, probably thinking humans were too simple to learn anything useful. They were very wrong. Look at this, she said to her research team. She pointed at the microscope display showing alien cells. Their white blood cell count is incredibly low. Their immune systems are weak. These beings haven't fought off a serious disease in generations. Her assistant, Dr. Taehyung Seo, leaned over another microscope. Their muscle fibers are even worse. See how thin they are? These aliens couldn't run a marathon if their lives depended on it. That's not the strangest part, Soman said. She pulled up a genetic analysis on her computer. Their DNA shows markers for extreme stress sensitivity. Loud noises, bright lights, sudden movements, all of these things would cause them major panic. Meanwhile, high above Earth's atmosphere, Captain Hyunwoo Nam guided his stealth ship closer to the alien fleet. His vessel, the Silent Wind, was invisible to their sensors. Human stealth technology had been designed to hide from much more advanced detection systems. Getting detailed scans now, he reported to his crew. Those ships are mostly empty space. Look at this. What we thought were weapon bays are actually storage compartments. His weapons officer, Lieutenant Min-hyuk Park, studied the readings. Sir, these energy signatures are pathetic. My grandmother's electric car has more power output than their main guns. And their shields, Hyun-woo asked. Pretty lights. Nothing. More. They're designed to look impressive, not to stop anything dangerous. Back on the orbital station, Lieutenant Yoona Kim was having the time of her life, breaking alien encryption codes. The consortium's security was so basic that Earth's computers cracked it in minutes. Commander Park, she called excitedly. You need to hear this conversation. She played a recording of alien voices, speaking in their own language. The translation. Software turned their words into text on the screen. How much longer do we wait? One alien asked. The schedule says 1 day. We've never had to wait this long before, another replied. What if they refuse? No one refuses. The Vorthan refused. Once, 300 years ago. We showed them the war videos and they changed their minds in 10 minutes. But what if these humans are different? Different how? They're primitive. They still fight wars on their own planet. Clearly they need our guidance. Commander Minho. Park shook his head as he read the translation. They think we're primitive because we fight wars. They have no idea that fighting wars is exactly what makes us dangerous. Lieutenant Chae-young Lim had spent all night digging through intercepted alien communications. What she found made her call an emergency meeting with Earth's intelligence. Chiefs. The consortium isn't just running a protection racket, she reported. They're running the entire galaxy like a business. Every species pays them tribute. In return, they get protection from threats that the consortium controls. General Do-yun Choi studied her report. You mean the pirates and raiders they showed us? Work for them. When a species gets behind on payments, suddenly pirates attack their shipping. When they pay up, the attacks stop. How long has this been going on? At least 400 years. Maybe longer. They've convinced entire civilizations that war is impossible, that conflict is pointless, that the only way to be safe is to pay tribute and stay quiet. Dr. Somin Kang joined the meeting by video link. That explains the genetic markers I'm seeing. These aliens have been living in artificial peace for so long that their bodies have forgotten how to handle stress. They're like sheep. Sheep with very big ships, General Choi pointed out. Big, slow, weak ships, Captain Hyun-woo Nam corrected as his stealth mission continued. I'm looking at their engine designs now. They're so inefficient it's embarrassing. A human freighter could outrun their fastest warship. Admiral Ji-won Lee listened to all the reports with growing amazement. So let me understand this. The galaxy's most powerful military force is actually a collection of weaklings flying pretty but useless ships, and they maintain control by convincing everyone that war is impossible? That's exactly right, Chae-young Lim confirmed. And it gets better. I found records of species that tried to rebel. The consortium didn't crush them with superior military force. They used economic pressure and propaganda. They convinced other species to stop trading with the rebels until they gave up. What happened to species that wouldn't give up? There weren't any. Every species in the galaxy believes that the consortium is unbeatable. No one has actually tested that belief in centuries. Dr. Tae-hyung Seo had been quiet during most of the meeting, but now he spoke up. Admiral, I've been thinking about something. What if we're not just different from other species because we fight wars? What if we're different because we win them? Admiral Lee looked at him with interest. Explain. Every other species in the galaxy seems to have developed in relative peace. When they encountered conflict, they either avoided it or lost. But humans? We've been fighting each other for thousands of years, and we've gotten very good at it. Good. At fighting humans, General Choi said. That doesn't mean we're good at fighting aliens. Actually, it might, Dr. Somin Kang interrupted. I've been comparing human genetics to the alien samples. Humans have faster reflexes, better pattern, recognition, and higher stress tolerance. Our bodies are literally built for conflict. Lieutenant Yoona Kim had been listening to more alien communications. Sirs, you should hear this. The aliens are getting nervous about waiting so long. One of them just said, what if these humans are actually dangerous? What did the others say? Admiral Lee asked. They laughed. One said, "Dangerous. They can't even leave their own solar system properly. Look at their technology. They still use chemical rockets and metal ships." Captain Hyunwoo Nam's voice came through the speakers. "Chemical rockets and metal ships that could tear their fleet apart in minutes. I'm looking at their hull composition now. It's some kind of decorative alloy. Pretty, but it would crumple if you looked at it wrong." Admiral Lee stood up and walked to the window overlooking Earth. The planet looked peaceful from space, but she knew better. Down there, millions of people were going about their daily lives, never knowing that aliens were deciding their fate. But these weren't just any people. These were humans. "How many wars has humanity fought in the last century?" she asked. General Choi checked his tablet. 2 world wars, dozens of regional conflicts, countless smaller battles. We've perfected every form of warfare from guerrilla tactics to space combat. And these aliens think that makes us weak? They think it makes us primitive. Admiral Lee smiled. They're about to learn the difference between primitive and experienced. Lieutenant Chae-young Lim had found something else in the alien communications. "Admiral, there's something you should know. The consortium has never encountered a species like us before. Every other race they've contacted was already peaceful when they arrived. We're the first species they've found that's still actively fighting. What's their plan for dealing with us? The same as always. Show us scary videos, demand tribute, wait for us to comply. They literally don't have a backup plan." Dr. Somin Kang had completed her analysis of alien psychology. "Admiral, based on their brain scans and behavior patterns, I don't think they're capable of actual violence. They've been living in artificial peace for so long that they've lost the ability to think aggressively." "You mean they're bluffing?" I mean, they probably don't even know they're bluffing. They've convinced themselves that their protection racket is real peacekeeping. They genuinely believe they're the good guys." Admiral Lee thought about this for a long moment. "So we have a galaxy full of sheep being controlled by shepherds who think they're wolves. And the shepherds just tried to intimidate a pack of actual wolves," General Choi added. Captain Hyunwoo Nam's final report came in as the day ended. "Admiral, I've completed my analysis of their fleet. These ships couldn't defeat a single Earth destroyer, let alone our entire defense force. Their weapons are toys. Their shields are decoration. Their engines are barely functional. Any real military capability at all? They could probably handle space pirates if the pirates were using technology from 300 years ago. Against modern human military equipment, they wouldn't last 10 minutes. Admiral Lee gathered all the information and sat quietly for several minutes. Around her, Earth's military leadership waited for her decision. Finally, she spoke. "Gentlemen and ladies, we have a choice. We can pretend to be sheep and pay tribute to these false wolves, or we can show them what real wolves look like." "What do you recommend, Admiral?" General Choi asked. "I recommend we give them exactly what they asked for. They wanted to negotiate with Earth's leadership about protection. Tomorrow, we're going to have that negotiation. And then?" Admiral Lee's smile was sharp as a blade. "Then we're going to teach the galaxy something it forgot a long time ago. Sometimes the best protection is a good offense." As Earth's day ended, and the alien fleet waited in the darkness of space, none of the consortium members suspected that their 400-year reign was about to come to an end. They had encountered something new in their carefully controlled galaxy. They had found humans, and humans had found them wanting. Admiral Jaewon Lee walked into the communication room with the confidence of someone who knew exactly what was about to happen. Behind her came General Do-hyun Choi, Dr. Somin Kang, and Commander Min-ho Park. The alien delegation was already waiting. On the main screen, looking pleased with themselves, Ambassador Velthar smiled his sharp-toothed smile. "Ah, Admiral Lee. We trust you have considered our generous offer. The consortium is prepared to welcome Earth into our protective embrace." "We have indeed considered your offer," Admiral Lee said calmly. "And we have a counter-proposal." The aliens looked confused. Several of them whispered to each other in their own languages. Lieutenant Yuna Kim translated quietly for the human team. "Counter-proposal?" Velthar asked. "We do not understand. We offer you safety. What could you possibly offer us?" Admiral Lee's smile was cold as winter. "We offer you the chance to surrender your fleet to Earth immediately. In return, we will consider allowing you to continue your protection business in the Outer Rim territories under human supervision." The silence that followed was so complete that everyone could hear the hum of the space station's air recyclers. The aliens stared at the screen as if Admiral Lee had just spoken in a language they didn't know. Then they began to laugh. The insect-like alien buzzed with amusement. Did this primitive just threaten us? The three-eyed alien's middle eye blinked rapidly. Impossible. They must not understand the situation. Ambassador Velthar held up a hand for silence. Admiral Lee, perhaps there has been a translation error. We are offering to protect you. You are a young species with primitive technology. What could you possibly offer that we would want? Survival, Admiral Lee said simply. More laughter from the aliens. But Admiral Lee wasn't finished. Commander Park, please contact Captain Nam. Tell him to bring the Soul's Pride around from behind Luna. I think our new friends need a demonstration. The aliens were still chuckling when the human frigate appeared on their sensors. The Soul's Pride was smaller than the alien vessels, sleeker, and moved with a grace that made the consortium ships look like floating rocks. One small ship, the insect alien buzzed dismissively. Are we supposed to be impressed? Let's see what you think. In about 5 minutes, Admiral Lee said. Captain Hyunwoo Nam's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, the Soul's Pride is in position. All weapons charged and ready. Show them what human military technology can do, Captain. Disable half their fleet. Try not to hurt anyone. Understood, Admiral. Beginning demonstration now. What happened? Next would be talked about across the galaxy for generations. The Soul's Pride moved like a hunting shark among lazy whales. Its first target was the largest consortium vessel, a massive ship covered in glowing lights and decorative armor. Human laser batteries, designed to cut through the toughest materials in known space, sliced through the alien ship's shields like they weren't there. The pretty lights flickered and died. Emergency systems activated as the ship's main engines shut down. Impossible, Velthar whispered. The Soul's Pride moved to its second target. This time, human missile systems fired. The missiles were small, fast, and smart. They avoided the alien ship's defensive fire easily and struck precisely where they were aimed. Another consortium vessel lost power and began drifting. Stop this! The insect alien buzzed in panic. You're attacking peaceful vessels! We're demonstrating our defensive capabilities, Admiral Lee corrected. You showed us videos of scary space battles. We thought you might like to see what real space battles look like. The third alien ship tried to fight back. Its energy weapons fired bright beams of light that looked impressive and dangerous. The beams struck the Soul's Pride and did absolutely nothing. The human ship's armor didn't even warm up. Your turn, Captain Nam announced cheerfully. His return fire disabled the alien ship in seconds. By the time 5 minutes had passed, 6 of the 12 consortium vessels were floating helplessly in space. Their crews were alive and unharmed, but their ships were completely powerless. The remaining 6 ships had stopped moving entirely, afraid to draw attention to themselves. The communication channel was filled with alien voices speaking frantically in their own languages. Lieutenant Yuna Kim was having trouble keeping up with all the translations. They're asking how this is possible, she reported. One of them is saying that human weapons shouldn't be able to penetrate their shields. Another is claiming that we must have gotten our technology from someone else. Ambassador Velthar finally found his voice again. How? How is this possible? You are a primitive species. Your technology is crude. We saw your metal ships and chemical rockets. Dr. Somin Kang stepped forward. Ambassador, I think you misunderstood what you were looking at. Yes, we use metal ships. Metal that's stronger than your decorative hull materials. Yes, we use chemical rockets. Rockets that are more efficient than your pretty engines. But you fight wars on your own planet, the three-eyed alien protested. Civilized species don't fight wars. Civilized species, General Choi said with amusement. Learn how to fight wars so well that no one wants to start them. You've been living in artificial peace for so long that you forgot what real strength looks like. Commander Minho Park activated another screen showing Earth's military history. For thousands of years, humans have been perfecting the art of war. We've fought with sticks and stones, swords and shields, guns and bombs, ships and planes, and now starships and energy weapons. Every generation has made us better at protecting ourselves. You call this protection? Velthar asked, gesturing at his disabled ships. We call this a gentle reminder, Admiral Lee replied. A real attack would have destroyed your entire fleet in 30 seconds. We disabled your ships without harming a single crew member. That takes skill. The alien conference was interrupted by new voices on the communication channel. Ships from across the consortium fleet were reporting the same thing. Their crews wanted to know how humans had become so powerful with such simple technology. Dr. Soman Kang explained patiently, as if teaching children. You've been living in peace for so long that your bodies have forgotten how to handle stress. Your minds have forgotten how to think tactically. Your technology has focused on looking impressive instead of being effective. But the galaxy is dangerous, the insect alien protested weakly. Pirates, raiders, uncivilized species. Pirates and raiders that work for you, Lieutenant Che Young Lim announced as she joined the conversation. We've been listening to your communications. The threats you protect other species from are threats you control. The silence that followed was different from before. This wasn't confusion. This was the silence of beings who had been caught in a lie they'd been telling so long they'd started to believe it themselves. The galaxy hasn't seen a real war in 400 years, Admiral Lee continued. Every species has been paying you tribute to protect them from dangers that don't exist. You've turned the entire galaxy into a protection racket. We provide peace, Velthar said desperately. We prevent conflicts. You prevent growth, General Choi corrected. You've made the galaxy weak and afraid. Every species paying you tribute could have used those resources to build real defenses, real prosperity, real freedom. Captain Nam's voice came through the speakers again. Admiral, I'm reading energy buildups in the remaining consortium ships. I think they're trying to charge their weapons. Let them, Admiral Lee said calmly. Show them the difference between their weapons and ours. 3 of the remaining alien ships fired at once. Their energy beams lit up space with brilliant colors. When the light faded, the Soul's Pride was completely undamaged. Our turn again, Captain Nam said cheerfully. 3 precise shots disabled the attacking ships instantly. Now only 3 consortium vessels remained functional, and they made no move to attack. Ambassador Velthar's voice was small and defeated. What do you want from us? Nothing, Admiral, Lee said. We don't want tribute. We don't want to control you. We want you to stop controlling everyone else. But without the consortium, the galaxy will fall into chaos. The galaxy has been in chaos for 400 years, Dr. Somin Kong pointed out. You just made sure it was the kind of chaos that benefited you. General Choi added, real peace doesn't come from fear and tribute. It comes from strength and mutual respect, something you've never offered anyone. The remaining alien ships were receiving communication requests from across their fleet. Disabled vessels were asking for instructions. But more importantly, they were asking questions. Questions about human technology, human tactics, and human philosophy. We can offer you a choice, Admiral Lee said finally. You can continue trying to run your protection racket, and we'll stop you. Or you can join us in building something better. What kind of something better? Velthar asked. A galaxy where species defend themselves instead of paying others to pretend to defend them. A galaxy where strength comes from cooperation, not intimidation. A galaxy where no one has to pay tribute to anyone. The three-eyed alien spoke up hesitantly. And if we refuse? Admiral Lee's smile returned, sharp as a blade. Then you'll discover what a real military force looks like when it's not being gentle. As if to emphasize her point, Captain Nam announced, Admiral, I'm showing 30 more human vessels approaching from the inner system. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. For the first time in 400 years, someone had said no to the Galactic Security Consortium. Not only said no, but made the consortium's most powerful fleet look like children, playing with toys. On the planet Kepler 442b, a species called the Zenthari received the news in their capital city. The Zenthari looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin and large eyes. They had been paying tribute to the consortium for over 200 years. Is this really true? Asked Zenthari leader Kes Ra as she watched the recordings of disabled consortium ships floating helplessly in Earth's solar system. Her military advisor, Sento, studied the tactical data. The humans used only one small ship to defeat half the consortium fleet. Their weapons cut through consortium shields like paper. Their ship took direct hits from energy cannons and wasn't even scratched. But how? The consortium told us their technology was the most advanced in the galaxy. It seems they lied to us. The humans proved that the consortium's technology is actually very weak. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening on thousands of worlds. Species that had never questioned their tribute payments were suddenly asking hard questions. Lieutenant Chae-Young Lim was busy establishing secret communication channels with these questioning species. Her job was made easier by the fact that the consortium had never bothered to secure their galaxy-wide communication networks properly. Admiral Lee, she reported from her intelligence station, I'm getting contact requests from over 300 worlds. They all want to know the same thing. Is it really possible to refuse the consortium? What are you telling them? Admiral Lee asked. The truth. That the consortium's protection is fake, their military is weak, and their whole system depends on species being too afraid to fight back. On the mining world of Rigel 7, the rock-eating Stonians held an emergency council meeting. The Stonians looked like walking boulders with crystal eyes. They were strong and tough, but they had been paying tribute for so long, they had forgotten their own strength. The humans fought the consortium and won, announced Council Leader Granite Hart. If humans can do this, why can't we? Because we don't have human technology, replied Mineral Mind, the Council's technical expert. But we don't need human technology to stop paying tribute. We just need to stop being afraid. Back in Earth's solar system, Captain Hyunwoo Nam was leading the first human expedition beyond the solar system. His mission was not to conquer, but to help. 3 human ships, the Soul's Pride, the Busan Thunder, and the Incheon Victory, were heading to the Vega system, where a species called the Aquarians had sent a desperate message. Captain Nam, came the transmission from Vega 3. This is Aquarian leader Flow Song. The consortium is demanding triple tribute from us because we asked questions about the human incident. They say we're being influenced by dangerous ideas. We're 2 hours away, Captain Nam replied. How many consortium ships? 12 vessels. The same type that were disabled in your solar system? 12 ships against 3? They're making this too easy? When the human ships arrived at Vega 3, they found the consortium fleet arranged in a threatening formation around the blue-green water world. The Aquarians lived in floating cities on their planet's endless oceans. The lead consortium ship immediately sent a communication to the humans. Human vessels, you are interfering with legitimate consortium business. Leave immediately, or face the consequences. Captain Nam's response was simple. No. The battle that followed was even more one-sided than the fight in Earth's system. The consortium ships had no new tactics, no improved weapons, and no better defenses. Human technology tore through their formations like a hurricane through paper. Houses. Within minutes, all 12 consortium ships were disabled and floating helplessly in space. The Aquarian cities sent up celebration fountains that could be seen from orbit. But the most important part wasn't the military victory. It was what happened next. Aquarian leader Flow Song, Captain Nam transmitted. We're not here to protect you. We're here to teach you how to protect yourselves. We don't understand. The consortium kept you weak by making you dependent on their protection. Real strength comes from being able to defend yourself. Would you like to learn how? Over the next several weeks, human military advisors worked with Aquarian engineers to upgrade their defensive systems. The Aquarians were natural engineers. Their floating cities were marvels of technology. They just needed to be shown how to adapt their skills for military purposes. Dr. Taehyung Seo arrived with a team of human military instructors. The first rule of defense, he explained to a group of Aquarian students, is that the best defense is often a good offense. Don't wait for enemies to attack you. Make sure they don't want to attack you in the first place. But violence is wrong, one young Aquarian protested. The consortium taught us that civilized species don't fight. The consortium taught you that so you would be easy to control, Dr. Seo replied. Violence for its own sake is wrong. Violence to protect your family, your home, your freedom, that's not wrong. That's necessary. News of the Aquarian liberation spread even faster than the original Earth incident. Now it wasn't just a story about humans being strong, it was proof that other species could be strong too, with the right help. General Do Hyun Choi was busy developing what he called the Human Defense Doctrine. It was a military philosophy based on teaching other species to defend themselves rather than conquering them. The goal, he explained to Admiral Lee, is not to build a human empire. It's to build a galaxy full of free, strong species that can work together as equals. And if some species prefer the consortium's way, then they can stay with the consortium. But they won't be able to force other species to stay with them. The consortium's emergency council meeting was held on their capital world, a planet called Hegemony Prime. Ambassador Velthar and the other surviving leaders gathered in a great hall that had been built to intimidate visiting species with its size and grandeur. The situation is unprecedented, Velthar reported to the council. 17 worlds have stopped tribute payments. 43 more are demanding renegotiation of their protection contracts. And the humans are actively helping species develop their own military capabilities. How many ships have we lost? Asked High Controller Zephyran, a tall alien with too many arms and a voice like grinding metal. Over 200 vessels disabled or destroyed. The humans and their allies now control 7 star systems that were previously under our protection. What are our options? We could gather our remaining fleets and attack the humans directly, suggested War Master Thex Vol, whose species looked like armored reptiles. Show the galaxy that defying the consortium has consequences. With what? Velthar asked bitterly. Our remaining ships are no match for human technology. A direct attack would only result in the destruction of our entire military. Then what do you suggest? Velthar was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. Perhaps it's time to consider that the humans might be right. The gasps and angry voices that followed echoed through the great hall. But Velthar continued. For 400 years, we've maintained peace through fear and control. But what kind of peace is it when entire species live in terror of losing our protection? What kind of civilization are we building when everyone is too weak to defend themselves? You're talking about the end of the consortium, High Controller Zephyran said coldly. I'm talking about the evolution of the consortium. The humans aren't trying to destroy us. They're trying to change us. Maybe it's time to listen. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Lee was receiving reports from across the galaxy. The human defense doctrine was working better than anyone had hoped. Species that had been paying tribute for centuries were discovering they had the skills and resources to defend themselves. They just needed someone to show them how. Admiral, Lieutenant Cheyoung Lim reported, we're getting communication requests from species in every corner of the galaxy. Some want military training. Others want trade partnerships. A few want to join our alliance. Any word from the consortium leadership? Actually, yes. Ambassador Velthar wants to arrange a meeting. He says they're interested in discussing a new arrangement. Admiral Lee smiled. Set it up. But make sure they understand, we're not negotiating from a position of weakness this time. As the galaxy began to change, species across thousands of worlds were learning something they had forgotten during 4 centuries of forced peace. They were learning that freedom wasn't something you could buy with tribute payments. Freedom was something you had to be strong enough to defend. And thanks to humans, they were finally learning how to be strong again. The consortium's 400-year reign was ending not with a great battle, but with something much more powerful. The simple idea that every species had the right to defend itself. It was an idea whose time had finally come. 6 months after the consortium's arrival at Earth, Admiral Ji-Won Lee stood on the bridge of humanity's new flagship, the Incheon Victory. Through the massive viewing windows, she could see something that would have been impossible to imagine. Just half a year ago, hundreds of ships from dozens of different species worked together in Earth's orbital shipyards. Aquarian engineers with their flowing water suits worked alongside crystal-bodied Stonians. Zenthari technicians with their silver skin shared tools with insect-like Chitani workers. All of them were learning human military technology and adapting it to their own needs. Admiral, Commander Minho Park reported from his station, the first graduating class of the Galactic Defense Academy is ready for their final ceremony. How many students? 237 officers from 41 different species. Dr. Seo says it's the most diverse military class in galactic history. Admiral Lee smiled as she watched the ceremony preparations on Luna through the ship's cameras. The Human Defense Academy had started as a small training facility. Now it was the most popular military school in the galaxy. Dr. Tae-Hyung Seo stood before his graduating students in the academy's main hall. The students looked like something from a science fiction movie. Dozens of different alien species all wearing the same dark blue uniforms of the Galactic Defense Force. 6 months ago, Dr. Seo began his speech. Most of your species believed that military strength was impossible to achieve. You had been told that only the consortium could provide protection. Today you leave here as qualified defense officers, capable of protecting your own worlds. A Zenthari student raised her hand. Professor Seo, what if other species still want to rely on others for protection instead of defending themselves? That's their choice, Dr. Seo replied. The goal isn't to force every species to think like humans. The goal is to make sure every species has the choice to defend itself if it wants to. In the shipyards above Earth, former consortium vessels were being converted into something completely new. Captain Hyunwoo Nam supervised the transformation of Ambassador Velthar's old flagship into a mobile defense platform. How's the retrofitting going? Admiral Lee asked as she toured the converted ship. Better than expected, Captain Nam replied. The consortium built these ships to look impressive, but the basic structure is actually quite good. Once we strip out their useless weapons and install proper human technology, they'll be effective defensive vessels. And the crew? A mix of former consortium personnel and graduates from the Defense Academy. Velthar himself is serving as the ship's diplomatic officer. That was perhaps the most surprising development of all. Ambassador Velthar, former leader of the consortium's expansion efforts, had requested to join the new Galactic Defense Force. He claimed he wanted to help build the kind of protection system he had always thought the consortium was providing. Lieutenant Yuna Kim had become the head of the new Galactic Communication Network, which connected all the free worlds in a web of open, secure communications. No more secret messages or encrypted threats. Every species could talk to every other species directly. Admiral, she reported from her communications center, I'm getting an interesting transmission from the edge of the galaxy. A species called the Vorthak is asking for help. They say they're being threatened by something called the Iron Collective. Never heard of them. What kind of threat? According to the Vorthak, the Iron Collective is a group of machine species that conquers biological civilizations and turns them into robot slaves. Admiral Lee frowned. That sounds more serious than the consortium's fake pirates. How far away are the Vorthak? About 3 weeks' travel at maximum speed. But Admiral, there's something else. The Iron Collective has apparently never heard of. The consortium. They're not part of the tribute system. You mean they're an actual threat? Yes, ma'am. The first real military threat the galaxy has faced in 400 years. This was exactly the kind of situation the new Galactic Defense Force had been created to handle. Admiral Lee called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council, which included representatives from every member species. The meeting was held in the new Galactic Defense Headquarters on Luna. The conference room was filled with beings from dozens of worlds, all working together as equals. The Vorthak situation presents us with our first real test, Admiral Lee explained to the assembled representatives. This isn't a protection racket or fake pirates. The Iron Collective appears to be a genuine military threat. Zenthari representative Kes Ra spoke first. Our species has no experience fighting machine enemies. Our weapons are designed for biological targets. The same is true for most of us, added Stonian Representative Granite Hart. We've been fighting the consortium's weak ships. This could be very different. Ambassador Velthar, now wearing the blue uniform of the Defense Force, raised his hand. If I may, Admiral, this is exactly why the old consortium system failed. When a real threat appears, species need to be strong enough to defend themselves, not dependent on others for protection. What do you suggest? Admiral Lee asked. Send a mixed fleet. Humans provide the advanced military technology and tactical expertise. Other species provide additional ships and crew. Show the galaxy that the Defense Force can handle real threats through cooperation, not domination. General Do-Yun Choi had been studying the available data on the Iron Collective. The machines have one advantage and one weakness, he reported. Their advantage is that they don't get tired, scared, or confused. Their weakness is that they follow predictable patterns and can't adapt quickly to new situations, which means human tactical flexibility combined with alien engineering creativity should give us a significant advantage. We just need to make sure our allies are ready for real combat, not the play fighting they've been doing with consortium ships. Dr. Soman Kang had been analyzing samples from the Vorthax reports about Iron Collective technology. These machines use quantum processors that are actually quite advanced, but they appear to have no understanding of biological psychology. They expect their enemies to act logically and predictably. "Are you saying they've never fought humans?" Admiral Lee asked with a grin. "I'm saying they've never fought anyone who thinks the way humans do. This could be interesting." The Defense Force fleet that headed toward Vorthax space was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 50 ships from 12 different species, all working under unified human tactical doctrine, but each contributing their own unique capabilities. The Zenthari provided advanced sensor technology. The Stonians contributed heavy armor plating. The Aquarians offered underwater combat capabilities in case the battle moved to ocean worlds. Even some former consortium species volunteered ships and crews. Captain Hyunwoo Nam commanded the expedition from the converted flagship Unity. As they approached Vorthax space, his sensors detected something that made him smile. "Admiral," he transmitted back to Earth, "you need to see this. The Iron Collective fleet is arranged in perfect geometric formations. No randomness, no creative positioning, no adaptation for local conditions. They're sitting in space like targets, waiting to be hit. How many ships?" "About 200, but they're all identical. Same design, same weapons, same tactics. They've never encountered an enemy that uses different approaches to the same problem." The battle that followed became known as the Liberation of Vorthax Prime. The Iron Collective fought exactly as their programming dictated, efficiently, logically, and predictably. The Defense Force fleet fought like humans had taught them, creatively, adaptively, and with constant surprises. Zenthari ships used their advanced sensors to find weaknesses in machine defenses. Stonian vessels rammed through enemy formations with their heavy armor. Aquarian crews performed underwater attacks on machines that had never considered the possibility of combat in liquid environments. And human ships coordinated it all, adapting tactics in real time and teaching their allies new strategies even in the middle of battle. The Iron Collective was defeated not because the Defense Force had better technology, but because they had better thinking. News of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than ever before. The new Defense Force had faced its first real test and passed with honors. More importantly, they had done it together, as equals. Back on Earth, Admiral Lee was reviewing the final reports when Lieutenant Yuna Kim brought her something that made her laugh out loud. "Admiral, we're receiving another transmission from outside the galaxy. This time from something called the Void Devourers in the Andromeda Galaxy. They're offering to protect us from the cosmic horrors that they say will definitely destroy us if we don't pay them tribute." Admiral Lee looked at the message and shook her head. "How much tribute do they want?" 60% of all galactic resources. They say it's a bargain because the cosmic horrors are even worse than the Void Devourers. And I suppose they have scary videos to show us? Hours of them. Planets being eaten by shadow monsters, stars going out, entire galaxies being consumed by darkness. Admiral Lee walked to her window and looked out at the fleet of ships from dozens of species, all working together to build something better than the old tribute system. In the distance, she could see the Galactic Defense Academy, where new classes of officers were learning that